Okay, I want to welcome everybody who made it here on September the 26th of 2024 for our hurricane party. For those of us in Tampa and the vicinity. I see we have no guests tonight. We do have Tiffany here tonight. I think hers maybe her first or second meeting from joining us earlier in the year. So I'm glad to see her. And Manuel, we had him briefly last week, but he's here tonight. So awesome that you guys are here tonight. And let's go ahead. I've got just a few announcements, and then we'll get to Jim's presentation. Just a quick word. If he said he's got a few minutes during if his presentation is running because he's got part of it recorded. If he loses power, his presentation will continue for a while before his backup battery runs out. But we won't be able to see or hear him, so we may continue with it at least until the end of that. I personally, if I lose power, I have backup for a while as well. I'm not sure about the problem is I'll lose internet, so it's pointless. So if I lose power, then obviously we'll be done and try to redo this another night, sometime like next week. So just FYI.
Yeah. If my power flickers, I may lose my camera and my mic, but the internet and the camera and stuff should probably stay running. But if it drops for more than more than a couple seconds, my internet will drop too, and it'll just all be gone. Now, if that happens, let me just say this: if I drop out, don't go away, because if the power just drops out and comes back on, I'll get back online.
Okay.
If that doesn't happen, I'll send a text to Lynn, that I'm done for.
Same here.
Nothing stops.
Then the recording will stop too if I lose power. So
nothing stops a determined photographer.
Yeah. All right. Let me get the announcements out here. Just a reminder of our October assignment. Obviously, is low angle perspective, and hopefully. We've had a lot of questions about this, and what Jim's going to talk about tonight will help a lot with it, I think. And November is the multi-layered panorama, which Robert will be talking about in October at our education night. Then September is our education night. Our last education night will be in October. We do not have one in November. We do not have one in December. So next month will be our member takeover. And I've gotten a few volunteers. If anybody else wants to talk for 7 to 10 minutes about one subject, has to be something about photography, please let me know. The other thing is I sent out an email a few days ago that Jim and I are both going to be gone on the 17th of October, which would be our normal exhibit comment night. So we're shifting everything back a week. So instead of the 17th, so your submissions will be due on the 17th for the first competition. The meeting itself will be on the 24th, and then the education night, which will be the member takeover, will be on the 31st. So backing everything up a week. We had 5 Thursdays this month, so we could actually still be in October doing this. The board members will still be meeting on our regular night. So I haven't backed that one up because that's the week before we go. So any questions about that? And I will send a reminder again later about that. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the fact that the meetings have been shifted back a week, including the submission date for competition.
Is there anything in December, Lynn? Do we have anything in December at all?
In December, we have our holiday and end of year party, which is on the 8th of December, which is a Sunday. And we have that at Felipe Park in Safety Harbor. And we've been doing that for the last 4 years, and we have such a good time. Perfect. December, it's a good time to be outside. It's a big, huge pavilion. It's it's potluck. We have an auction. We have a raffle. We have Christmas decorations, and the best food you'll ever have This group
What
is
time
really
does
good.
it start, Lynn?
This group is really good with food, but we'll have all those details coming up in probably another month or so, and everybody
Okay.
signs up and puts down what food they're going to bring. So everything, all that we'll be doing that probably in November.
It's probably in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on
Yeah.
Sunday. So and it goes from like 1 to 4-ish, depending on. And we have a good time. We get to spend some time with each other, have good food. I always do a group photo, and we just and we give out the annual awards there too. So, and we also have our what we call our push pin display, and that is really we used to call it push pin because we used to stick them, put a push pin with a paper clip on it with a picture and put it up in Robert's wall. But since we don't have a wall now, we actually have a clothesline that we hang everything up on. And it's the only time we actually get to talk about our images. And what we do is we put an image up, we bring a print of something that we have not submitted for competition for the whole year or ever. And we go up and we talk about it. So it's a picture with a story. So what we do is we have a picture with a story for that. And so it's a little different than when there's no competition. It's just something funny. I mean, Brian's good at giving us crazy, funny stories. And along with this picture, I usually have something educational, obviously. And so we have a good time with that. We get a great variety of images for our clothesline of pictures. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. But any other questions about anything else, guys?
Lynn, I don't know if you want to mention that FMOPA is having their member submission, like if you want to enter a picture into their contest.
Yeah, that's the Florida Museum of Photographic Arts, which is the museum that's in Ybor City. Yeah,
and they're having all the information for that is on their website. And I think it's a $40 per entry fee, and you do have to be a member. But it's a good thing to support anyway. I mean, they do a lot for the local community. So for all of you artistes out there.
Yeah, you have to be a member. I think it's the membership is $50.
60. It's 60 now.
And you have to be a member. But it's like she said, it's a good cause. They bring in a lot of different photography. And if you haven't been, you should go. It's in Ybor City on 7th, right on 7th Avenue. And they always have really good displays there and exhibits. We went there last year, I think, on a Saturday morning and had a good time. Then we went and had food, which is always, at the Columbia, which is always part of our deal. We always eat.
Yep.
Anything else? Jim, do you have anything?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Robert is on his way to Wyoming, fleeing the slum. He actually had a job up there. So, so he is not going to be here tonight. And it looks like we're missing Jack and a few others. Lee and Lourdes are in Orlando and they have no power.
Oh dear.
Why? I don't know, but they don't.
Yeah, we should have no power, but they have no power. And I think this might be a good time of year to be in Wyoming. Maybe a little bit early for color, but
yeah. Well, I don't know. There's already showing a lot of color up in New Hampshire already, so Wyoming may have the aspens.
yeah, they might.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go ahead and if nobody has any other comments or anything, we'll go ahead and get started. And I'll turn it over to Jim.
Okay. Yeah. First thing I'll do, because as Lynn said, I understand there's a lot of questions about this assignment. I'll field a couple questions. Then I will. I'll give a little presentation, it's actually a demonstration I filmed in my backyard yesterday of actually doing some low-angle perspective stuff, show you the results of that, show you some other low-angle things that I've been working on lately, specifically with this in mind, and field more questions. So does anybody have any general questions about this assignment, going in to start with that you'd like to see answered? Yes, Jim.
Yes, thank you, Jim. Just a general question. When I first saw the assignment, I went out on the internet and I Googled low angle photography. And the answer I got was kind of basic. It said as long as you are changing your eye level perspective, then it passed the the smell test to be a low angle picture. However, the people that wrote that are not the ones that are going to be rating and critiquing our images. So I think
Yeah, you are correct. We don't want to see you go from this to this.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess your question is how low is low?
Yeah. So we are looking for something that try and have something with some striking visual impact that obviously looks like down low.
Yeah.
I've been everything I'm demonstrating just about is actually from ground level. Now I'm not saying you have to get to ground level, but the whole point of the low angle perspective is not simply to have the camera lower than you normally would have it at eye level, but to also impart to the viewer a very different view of the world or what you're showing them based on getting way down there. Now it's going to depend on the lens you're using, what your equipment is, where the object is, whatever your subject is. But we're going to be looking and scoring based on primarily on the visual impact of how low does it look and how interesting does it look because you got low, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
And you'll see some of the stuff that I've been doing specifically as examples to throw out there for this. So
Any particular
I know
lens?
you had some questions. Go ahead. Tori, you had some questions earlier? Did you get those answered already?
Yeah, I just wondered if there is a particular lens that's good for low angle. I'm thinking to put the camera on the ground and then just kind of flip the little, so I don't have to like lay down on the ground. Just kind of flip that little view.
Yeah, it depends on what you're shooting and your distance to it. For the real interesting visual impact that I've been working with for examples, I've been using very wide angle lenses for it.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
and by the way, cell phones do work well for this, actually. The ultra wide in your cell phone, the 0.5 or 0.6 if you're an iPhone user, that lens works really good because that lets you get very close to a subject if you want and really fill up the frame from low angle. Because one of the things that happens when you get a wide angle lens, it does put anything that's far away will look really far away and very diminished. One of the things that makes it nice to use a really wide or an ultra wide angle lens is that you can get very close to your subject and let it dominate the scene and yet still have background, and it will push the perspective of the background further away from your subject, making your subject even more dominant in the frame by the fact that it will appear to make the background recede farther away from the subject. It's a matter of perspective with a wide angle lens. You get that as you get to normal and longer lenses, it starts compressing that perspective. Your background appears to the viewer to come closer to the foreground, and that's not necessarily what you might want for visual impact. If you're focusing on a specific object, having that background recede away from it and having that very prominent, that's what you get by using a wide angle lens and getting very close to your subject. If you've got a subject that's far away and you've got to use a longer lens, you're just pulling everything closer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So everything I'm showing tonight has been done either with the 0.5 widest lens on the cell phone, or with anywhere between an 8mm and a 14mm lens on a crop sensor, which would be like a like a 12-20 on a full frame.
Okay.
Don't forget, you can take your phone and there's settings in there for a timer. So you can take your phone and set it, put the timer on and click it and put your phone down upside down so that the screen is down on the ground. and shoot up. You're shooting up. So don't forget about the timer on your phone.
Yeah. Another thing you can do is your lenses are at one end of the phone here. You can put that end
Right.
down, you know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
shoot. And now that makes it very hard to see what's happening on your screen because your screen is now, you know, tilted like this. If you've got a subject here, it's tilted like this. The screen is tilted at the ground. Now, on the latest cameras, even the selfie camera is typically, you know, has some decent resolution now. They're typically, all the newer phones have at least 12 megapixels on the selfie camera. You can put it on selfie camera, do this, and now your screen is up and you can see what's on your screen if you use the selfie camera. Yeah. So now be aware, you know, if you're shooting, you know, if you're used to shooting now these, you know, 45 megapixel sensors, and then you get a picture from 12 megapixel, you know, you're going to see the difference in your end. But for what we're doing and displaying online, it's, you know, that's not going to be an issue. It wasn't that long ago we were all using, 12 and 16 megapixel cameras anyway.
I remember my 3 megapixel camera.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I sold 8-foot by 10-foot prints from a 3.5 megapixel camera. There was a day when the threshold for hiring a professional was that that you had to have a 5 megapixel camera to be hired. So,
Oh.
so yeah, for what we're doing, you know, if it's going to help you, you know, to not get in awkward positions, you'll be laying in an ant nest or, you know, down in the mud or on a hot sidewalk or something. Yeah, you know, if you got your, you know, if you're using your cell phone, use the selfie camera and flip it over and look at the screen to frame
Now you tell me.
your shot.
Now you tell me I've got all these dirty clothes in the wash.
Yeah, the other, and of course, you know, with the newer cameras, you know, what's great is, yeah, you get the articulating screen so that you can, you know, get your camera down there and,
Yeah.
you know, articulate your screen and see what you want to shoot with it. So, yeah, anything with an articulating screen is great. And like I say, you can get away with a selfie camera on a cell phone if you have to. But if you can even use the widest angle, even the wide angle, and this is, you know, we're talking about the resolution of the selfie camera. A lot of cameras right now, all the other lenses except the normal 1x lens are at the same resolution as the selfie camera anyway. All the new iPhones and everything, all the lenses are 12 megapixels except the 1x lens. That's a 40 megapixel lens. But all the other lenses are 12 megapixel lenses anyway. So, you know, there you go.
All right.
Any other questions?
Just
Yeah,
seems to me that the ultimate example of shooting up would be astrophotography.
Yeah, the ultimate low angle perspective. Good point, Brian. Not what we're looking for the assignment. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Anybody else have a question?
Yes, is use screen take a low angle. So how to focus? Use what time focus?
Well, most of your screens show you a point on the screen of where you're going to focus that you can see. What I even like to do, if you have a camera with a touch screen, that's great. You can have the touch screen set, and so it works just like your cell phone, that where you touch the screen is where it focuses and it takes the picture. So if you're composing and looking at your touch screen for your camera, you can touch on, you know, the point that you want it to focus on and take the picture, just like using a cell phone. This, you know, this point right here is like that. You can just touch the screen and that's where it will focus.
Yeah.
And take the shot.
Okay,
I
thank
didn't
you.
know that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? All right, Jim, go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Besides that, I like to use a beanbag for the camera on the ground to help hold it more steady in these, you know, awkward positions down here where it's going to be, because a lot of times, and you'll see in my demonstration, I am taking more than one shot, and I want it right on the ground. So tripods, even platypods and anything like that, still puts the camera too high up. I want to get it, as close to the ground as I can. A beanbag will let me get it virtually on the ground, but will help hold it steady enough that as I take pictures, they're still going to be easy to align on the back end if I'm compositing or doing HDR. So even if you're doing multiple shots for composite, you're touching the camera, it's going to move a little bit. The good thing about using a wide angle or an ultra wide angle lens is it gives you lots of fudge factor to get away with that, with being able to align the images on the back end in Photoshop or Lightroom for HDR. They'll line right back up even if you nudge the camera a little bit, but the beanbag is going to help a lot with that. And the other thing I take out with me when I'm going for low angle is a pad to kneel on. And you see mine has a carabiner to put it on my belt.
Yeah.
It's just an ultralight little foam seat cushion, but it's ultralight, hangs on my belt. Kneel down on it, lay down on it. Knee pads, something like this. I actually have 2 of these, and I also have a knee pad. If you anywhere in where they sell gardening stuff in the garden center, you can get knee pads for kneeling down for gardening. They're great. It's a lot more compact than like a yoga mat or something like that.
They
Which
also
I do see
have-
some people carry yoga mats to go do stuff like this.
They also have, I bought the knee pads that they use for outdoor volleyball. That you just put them right on because they're a little bit lighter and easier to put on. You can just strap them on.
Mm-hmm.
Invariably, I don't have them when I need them. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of
And I
times,
got those at Walmart. For like
when I'm doing something like this, it's a dedicated outing to go do stuff like this, and I'm taking that stuff with me. The other thing that I use a lot, and you're going to see in the demonstration for real visual impact, is I use a speed light, and with a remote trigger. That's my remote trigger on the top of my camera. This one pretty much lives on top of this camera because I do so much off-camera flash. But I take a speed light, preferably a TTL speed light, but it's not that hard to use a non-TTL if you're familiar with working the manual power settings. But it is easier using TTL with the flash, because if you're using flash for low angle subjects, you're holding the camera in one hand, you're holding the flash in the other and moving it around, you're very close to your subject, and very small changes in distance will mean big changes in the amount of light that's getting on your subject, and you're going to work different angles and everything to get the shot. And TTL is really going to be your friend in that situation to keep the exposure consistent without you having to worry about manipulating your exposure as you move your flash all around your subject when you're working in close like that. And you'll see why it's actually one of my favorite things to do for this type of work when I show the examples.
But if you don't have a flash, you still can do the assignment.
Oh yeah. I'm going to actually show you the difference. I went out in my backyard. It was the day before yesterday. I went out yesterday and did some stuff specifically so you could see comparisons to three different types of situations with doing this, and how they compare doing several different methods. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and show you a little demonstration of doing a couple things, and then I'll show you the examples and how they compare. So I'm going to find the little presentation.
Heard from Lee, and his place in St. Pete's already the water's inside his house.
Oh my.
My neighbors across the street just lost power.
Yeah.
You better get this show on the road.
My power just flashed. I had to leave and reconnect. It came back on, but it's good.
Didn't we have to go up 3 steps to get in his apartment?
Yes,
Lynn?
yes. That's how, well, it's
Does he
coming,
live on the
probably
beach?
coming in from the back.
Lynn, does he live on the beach?
Not
No, but
exactly
he's
on the
like-
beach,
He's like
but
3
close.
blocks from the beach.
Yeah, I can't imagine. My condo faces the water and Longboat Key, so I'm sure I'm going to have water in it.
Yeah.
All right, can you guys see the
A black screen.
video player on your screen?
No.
We see
black
black.
Green.
Black screen.
That's what you're supposed to see. That's the video player. That's what I wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we see it.
This is 3 minutes and 45 seconds of me doing some low angle perspective stuff, and then you're going to see the examples that were made from this.
All right.
Lining up my shot, making sure the camera will be stable. I am setting my focus point. I have an exposure set that will just give me detail in the clouds in this shot. That's the brightest thing in my scene. And now from here, flash on TTL, -3rd, and I'm just going to give myself multiple shots, multiple angles to work with light here. TTL should do its job with keeping the exposure relatively even, regardless of my angle and distance to the subject. And there we go. I've got what I want. Now, I don't want to use flash. I'm going to switch over here and go into bracketing HDR mode. Same composition. So now I need to get another exposure where I get close to having detail in the clouds. In this case, I'm using EV compensation to do it. Get right where I want. And fire away bracket for HDR. All right, there we go. Now, let's see what the cell phone does. It's going to be much harder to see the screen because of the angle it will be. So in this case, I'm going to get down low. I've got the ultra wide angle lens on. I'm going to have to get way down here on my belly to see my angle, and we'll let the dynamic range of the processing in the cell phone work. And to make it easy, I'm going to use voice commands here and say shoot. Then get everything lined up and shoot. 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 Just adjusting angles here, getting some slightly different camera angles to see what I want in the end. Shoot. All right, we got some stuff there. I can already feel that cell phone getting really hot with the sun shining on it, and trying to process high contrast, high dynamic range images here. Can you see the regular screen here again?
Yep.
Okay, so what I did, I went out and did a couple things. I had I had the subject in total shade, and what I was doing out there was like, worst possible conditions you could run into, which actually I think gives you the most striking visual impact. Midday, high sun, backlit subject, the part of my subject facing the camera was in shadow, and I waited for a cloud to go over, so I did flat, even lighting. I did HDR and flat, even lighting, single exposures and flat, even lighting, then had bright sun backlighting the subject, did single exposures and bracketed exposures, HDR, did an in-camera HDR at one point as well, and have them all for comparison to show you the differences in that. So, can you see Lightroom here?
Nope, you're not sharing anymore.
Oh, okay, got to share screen 1. I was just sharing video before. All right. Screen 2, there we go. Now can you see it?
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there you go. There's in the shade, just a single exposure. It's an easy shot to get if there's no sun, but look at how flat it is. It's flat. There's no dimensionality to it. It's, as far as lighting dimensionality goes, it's boring. It's just tonally flat. There's a Lightroom HDR, same thing. Hardly any difference from just a single exposure. That's 3 shots bracketed, 2 stop intervals in between them. You can hardly tell any difference when it's processed. And there's Photoshop HDR, HDR Pro and Photoshop. There's virtually no difference between them, and they're all flat and boring looking. Oh, and by the way, and there's an in-camera HDR where it processed in-camera. But notice the difference here. The in-camera HDR, look at how it punched the colors. Look at the reds.
Yeah.
Yeah, the in-camera processing, the greens as well. Look at the grass. Down here in the lower left of the frame. Look at the in-camera HDR really did some punching of saturation in some of the colors versus processing it outside the camera. So just to let you see the difference there, because I know a lot of you have cameras that'll do in-camera HDR. Now, here's the difference when the sun came out. This is a single exposure. Got some lens flare going on there too, because that's an 8mm lens. There is no blocking that sun at that angle from hitting the lens and making some lens flare, but it's not bad in this case. But look at how much more pop there is once you get the sun on the subject. Now you can see it's in shadow here. You can see the shadows falling going on here, but there's a lot more pop to the image. That's a single exposure. There's a fusion blending technique. There's Lightroom HDR, Photoshop HDR, and those are all HDR versus single.
Oh, yes.
They're all pretty much, in the ballpark, but it's a big difference when you have the sun, even backlit sun. Now, if you put the sun right on the front of your subject, that's going to be boring too for the most part. Might be a little better than no sun, but when you get backlighting, but you expose properly for the shadows when you have backlighting, that's when you can get a really striking image. This goes for anything, not just low angle, but backlight is the thing that they always tell you, oh, put the sun behind you, get the sun on your subject. I'm going to tell you, if you want to go for visual impact, do the opposite. Get the sun behind your subject. In this case, it's above and behind, but behind the subject, if you work your exposure properly, you're going to have a lot more striking image. Here is cell phone, and I'm using, in this case, the Lightroom camera app in a cell phone versus, all right, there's a single exposure on a mirrorless. There's a single exposure on the wide angle lens in the cell phone. That's just a, but Lightroom has a high contrast. The Lightroom camera, if you use the Lightroom app in your phone, will auto detect high contrast and process it appropriately. So the Lightroom camera auto detected high contrast scene, and this is the processing that the camera did. And then just using the stock cell phone camera, it's not too much difference. The Lightroom camera and the stock camera in the cell phone, and that's the 0.5 wide angle lens on it. Now, here's the difference when you use flash. This is still backlit. This is exactly the same scene as this, but now I'm deliberately underexposing the background a little bit and popping it with a flash. This is just a single flash right on the subject. Now there's a lot of contrast and dimensionality going on. But what I like to do is the equivalent of a multi-light setup, but instead of setting up multiple lights, you saw me, I was just moving that flash in all different positions, and then I just made a composite of using a light in one position, light in another, light in another. It's this is a composite of the flash in 3 positions, same as having a 3-light setup, but instead of setting up 3 lights, I just moved the light around, and you saw all the positions I moved it around, and then looked and just picked 3. Here's what here's what I got. The difference in using the multiple light positions and putting them together is, take a look here. Like, look at this gnome. See his face, kind of flat, you know, with the lighting. Same going on over here. Take a look now. Now look at the dimensionality going on in this. Mm-hmm. See how it's more dimensionality with the way the light falls in and everything. Over here, see this nice rim lighting on this little gnome over here, front lit plus some rim lighting. Look at the dimensionality in this guy's face down here versus that.
Yeah.
So this is this is a 3-light setup versus a single light setup versus a no light setup. You know, so these are options you can try. Now what I did out there, these with no sun, all I did was the same thing most people are going to do when they go out to shoot, is just have the camera set 0 EV, matrix metering, just point it and shoot. And you see, you know, the clouds are, you know, in this case they're holding, depending on which way it's processing, the clouds are getting a little bright, but you know, same thing. But you saw when I was talking in there that when I got the flash out, what I did was I used my EV compensation and watched my histogram until the bright part of the clouds wasn't clipping anymore, and I had the detail in the bright part of the clouds. Now that made all the shadows really dark, but I like that because then when I put light on the subject and balance the subject out with some stuff in the background, having that darkened down background really makes the subject pop off of it. And this is what a lot of people that use flash in the daytime do, and do it deliberately, is so you can knock the background down. This is full daylight. It's the same thing you're seeing in all of these, but now I'm able to knock down the background and make the subject pop off that background. We call that overpowering the sun. You're actually making your flash be more powerful in the scene than the sun. And you see, you can do that with a speed light when you're working in close. The other thing that I did in here, because of using the 3 positions on the light, see the shadows? One of my positions in the light filled in those shadows when I was able to do this. So with using the multiple light positions, I had one of my light positions was shining down here and took the shadows out. In here, with a single light, you still have those shadows from the sun falling behind it. That can look a little bit unnatural to see that light is shining on the front of your subject, yet the shadow is still falling in front of your subject. It's not so much the case here. So those were the examples of what I was doing different ways just between using the mirrorless camera and a cell phone out in the yard. Now,
were you planning on showing us how you did the composite in Photoshop?
What's that?
Are you planning on showing us how you did the composite shot in Photoshop?
I wasn't thinking about it because this wasn't necessarily a lesson in compositing. If you know how to do compositing, this is something good to do. But this, I'm doing this more about ideas to think of for low angle and how to do it. Compositing is kind of a whole nother rabbit hole. We could spend all night here talking about masking and multiple layers and blending modes and everything, and that doesn't have so much to do with that. If you are if you're comfortable with compositing, this is this is something to go for. But that's why I also showed this. If you're not comfortable with compositing, but just want to try using a flash in daylight, this is very simple. That's just a single shot with a flash. So, but if you're comfortable with compositing, this can be what you can achieve. So, let me see something here. Let's see.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Did you find some town where the cats eat the little people or garden gnomes?
What about it?
Did you find some town where cats eat garden gnomes?
Did I find what? Where cats eat garden gnomes?
Oh,
Some
Jim,
town.
he's being facetious.
A town? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you well. That's just something that was something of my wife's that I just grabbed to shoot with the other day.
It's
When
the
you
best
first
garden
brought
gnome
that
I've
up-
ever seen.
When you first brought that out, I'm like, oh my God, Jim Williams is going to want one of those.
But,
I mean,
I
that
already
is,
looked it up. You
What
can
I
buy
was
it at
saying.
Walmart for $24.
yeah.
that was somebody gave that to my wife as a gift, and it's normally on our front porch, but I grabbed it and took it out to the backyard for the demonstration. But here's some more real world stuff that I've been doing, and you can see using a flash here. If you know me, you know I like mushrooms, so mushrooms typically do tend to be something I photograph when I'm out there, and I try and take photographs of them before I pick them and eat them. So this particular one right here is delicious, by the way. But I say you can see how this has some top lighting on it, because this was in the shade under the trees, but it's got some top lighting on it here, and then one more pop of the flash across the side to give you all the texture of the pores that are in there. So that the side lighting on the bottom and top lighting, help that. This is just a single flash popped from the top on these. That's all it is, holding a flash in the air over top of them and popping it. Now this one has three, top, left, and right, so that you can see details in the pores underneath. More of the same. These are tasty, by the way, these particular ones, and that one. So
You can eat that one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I get those and I never have bothers.
Yeah, and this one again, a top light and a light out to the right. Look at the texture in all the pores on that you get. If you just went out there and stuck your camera down on the ground and used whatever light was available in the woods, you would not get the visual impact that you get by doing this.
Hey, Jim, I have a question. With regard to the mushroom that you showed before this one, the other two. Well, even this one, how it has a large background scene, that will not count off like it would the other week when we had too much background because
In this case, like I say, that's what happens with the ultra wide angle lens. You get a lot of you get a prominent subject with a lot of background, but in this case, it puts the subject in perspective with its environment.
okay.
So
Okay.
I would have no problem. That's a good question, but I would have I would not score off points on something like this because it places the subject in the environment and the subject is still prominent.
Okay.
Yep, because of using that wide angle lens. You know, there's a really extreme low angle shot looking
Did
up.
you have to dig a hole?
Nope. The camera's down at the bottom of the tree roots looking up at these mushrooms that are growing on the tree roots. This is a shot I did a couple weeks ago that I found these mushrooms 2 years ago and have been wanting, and finally made the shot I wanted to make of these mushrooms. These particular mushrooms last a long time. I found them 2 years ago on this tree and they're still living there. I've got some of these in my front flower bed that have been there for a year now, and they're not even close to being the size of these. The ones in my garden of this kind that are a year old are the size of this one over here. So if that's the case, I'm guessing this one is many years old. But these these are gone in like 2-3 days. But that's this is a shot I've been looking to make for a while. I think it was Brian saw this a while ago and he said, "Oh, I thought that was an AI picture." But and not just that, we went out and did some stuff recently, and we were out at the quarry, the old quarry up in Withlacoochee Forest. There's an old piece of limestone with some moss and stuff growing on. But look at how the wide angle lens pushes that background back from it and makes the subject very prominent by pushing the background away. There's a lot of background, but it pushes the background away. And again, using a light, you see where the light just popped on this and darkened the background. That technique of darkening the background and then using light to pop your subject. So you've got two things going on here. The background is pushed away from the subject, and the background is darker than the subject.
So Jim, if you didn't get that in camera, could you not do that with, just a masking on post-processing? Like darken the background and to make
Sure. Yeah. It's much easier to get it, in one shot.
Correct.
It's a lot less work.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just happen to be strolling
Because
with your phone and
your
have a
technique, if you're doing this, your technique is to deliberately expose the background to be dark.
Right.
In a lot of cases, if I look at the clouds on my histogram and make sure the clouds come in without clipping, the background all the shadows are going to go, and most of the background is going to go dark.
Right.
That's just general. If you shoot landscapes, that if you do a single exposure for the clouds, your landscape goes dark. But that's actually what I want in this case, because then I just use the flash to pop a light on the subject and then make it jump out from everything.
Yeah, I guess I'm just not understanding quite how to use that TTL with a bigger.
And so here's some cell phone shots that I did while I was out there, while I've been out in the woods too. That's a cell phone shot.
Wow.
Hey, Jim.
Cell phone shot, and that's no lighting. That's just a single cell phone shot, and that's a single cell phone shot as well. This is a cell phone. This is with a selfie camera, by the way. That's flipping it up so I could see the screen, because these mushrooms are literally this tall. These mushrooms are 2 inches tall in this photo, so there's no way to see the screen to compose this unless I had put it on selfie camera and was able to see what I was composing from above looking down.
Hey,
so
Jim.
There's an example of that.
Jim?
Yeah, go for it.
Back to the picture of the limestone rock.
2
or 3 back. A difference that I've noticed is that on this image, you cannot see the ground in front of the subject. Most of the mushroom images, you can.
Yes.
Does that matter?
In like the mushroom ones, it is very nice to have the ground and see them come out of the ground, versus if you just cut the stem off on something like that, that's going to look good. However, in this case, the curved rock you see has shadows underneath it and it's boring, but these little weeds and things, growing up here on this are interesting. So that's what I wanted, front and center, was not even so much about the rock, but that this stuff is growing in the rock, and showing more all the way down to the ground way down there would diminish what you're seeing with this stuff growing here. But that's a good question. There's a deliberate reason, for that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
but this is stuff I've just been doing, just in the last 2 months, thinking of helping people with this assignment, and going out and saying, well, I'm going to just go out and walk in the woods and do some low angle work, and whatnot.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's mostly when I'm walking around, the stuff I see to do low angle. Not that you can't do it in urban environments, this, that, or the other, but I just have not had time. I haven't been out in any urban environments and doing anything like that. But these are some ideas and some ways I've been doing it. But urban environments can probably give you some very striking perspectives as well. But I would say, in an urban environment, just being under a building and looking up is not going to look, out of the ordinary, like you've done something specific for the assignment. But getting out there and maybe including some ground level stuff and looking up, that might be very interesting. I'm thinking, like I do have, I'd have to go digging it up. Who knows where it is? I was down in Ybor City, did a very interesting low angle shot where I put the camera right down in the middle of the tracks of the streetcar, and have an ultra wide angle where you see the tracks coming past the camera in both directions, and the streetcar in front of it, and the buildings going up each side of the street. But also, part of what's going on with the tracks, they have some switching mechanism, and there's a great big padlocking the switching mechanism in the track. So there's a nice big padlock in the foreground, followed by the streetcar, and then the buildings coming up the side and the tracks coming past the side. Very interesting, low angle thing. And I didn't even think about that shot till now to worry about even going to look for it. That would have been a good urban example.
What about in the urban part, Jim, where not everybody here is very good at getting down on the ground, and if you were in the urban environment and you were able to shoot up rather than laying on the ground or something like that, are you going to be okay with something like that?
Yeah, I'll give you other options for that. Selfie stick. You can you don't have to get all the way down to the ground if you can hold your phone down to the ground with a selfie stick and shoot with it. You can also with some of the cameras, you can hold them on a tripod or a monopod, get them down low to the ground, and most modern cameras have a phone app that you can control your camera and see through your camera with the phone app. And you can put it on a monopod, use a monopod like a selfie stick, put it down low, use your camera app to see what you're doing and take the picture. Action cameras like the GoPros and stuff have the same thing. They take in daylight conditions, they take pretty decent JPEGs images. The new GoPros even shoot RAW. The GoPro 12 shoots RAW images. The nighttime stuff, not so great, but daytime exposures are fine to use those as an actual camera. And they've got apps as well that you can put them on a selfie stick or something, get them down low, use your phone to do the composing of the shot, and you can take the picture from the phone. But
that's what Brian does, right?
Yep. And yeah, I've done it too. Most of the mirrorless cameras of the last few generations have phone apps that will control them that way as well. So you can as opposed to a GoPro or a cell phone on a selfie stick, You can put your mirrorless camera on a monopod, do the same thing. So that's a good point, Lynn.
And not everybody can get down on the ground anymore.
Jim, I
down,
have a
just can't get back
question.
up.
Yeah, it's the getting up that's hard.
Jim, I have a question. If you're like shooting up at a colorful ceiling and you're holding, can you see my hands? And you're holding the camera like that, but you're shooting up at the ceiling or at something up on the thing. Is that considered a low angle?
Yeah, what I would suggest for that, because if we just see a shot of a ceiling, there's no way to even know where you're holding it over your head, where there's, you know, nothing in the shot that you'll be showing us like that necessarily indicates, you know, that it's low angle. I would suggest that in your composition that you get walls going up to that ceiling, a door, something from floor level going, something that indicates to us that you went, that okay, that you did shoot that ceiling from a low angle.
Okay, so what I'm saying, so then in other words, but suppose you can't get, because that's what I did, but I can't get the whole wall because I was using an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
as long as I show part of the wall, as long as I show something that's.
Yeah, the goal of this isn't to technically just make a shot from low angle. The goal of this is to impart to the viewer and let the viewer know
what you saw
unequivocally when they see the photo that it was shot from a low angle.
Okay.
It's not, you know, it's not going to be a good thing for you to just say, well, I held the camera down low. If we can't just look at the picture on our own and know that from what we see in the picture, then that's not a good example. Your goal isn't just to shoot a low angle photo. Your goal is to impart to your audience that it is a low angle perspective.
Got it.
I think you could also sit like on a bench or something or a chair and put your camera down low if you can't get down there.
Yep, it's challenging for multiple reasons.
Yeah. Is this an indication that our group is getting old?
Getting? It's not an indication.
Every group is getting older, Leslie. Inevitable.
But we're thinking younger.
But we're thinking younger, yeah.
Jim, would a panorama work if you start like at the floor and work all the way up to the ceiling?
I think that would be fantastic. I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be a vertical panorama, a vertorama.
Yeah.
Or even a horizontal that, you know, that starts low and continues up, you know, a multi-row panorama going up like that. Absolutely. That there's no reason why you shouldn't experiment with that and do something like that.
Now, if you turn the camera, vertically, guys, and take multiples with a very wide angle lens, you can get some awesome shots with something like this rock in the foreground or something, big that's in the foreground, and still get a lot. If you've got a beautiful sky, I did that in Death Valley. We were at the Devil's Golf Course, and we're all these salt formations. But in the meantime, up in the sky was a lenticular cloud and the mountains in the background. I turned the camera around sideways and took a huge panorama with probably a 16 millimeter lens. And the picture is unbelievable because you've got all these structures, these salt structures in front of you, but then you've got this lenticular cloud over the mountains in the background. So yeah, don't forget about turning the camera and doing a very wide angle panorama.
I have a 20 by 30 print of that lenticular cloud.
So Lynn, you're saying to hold the camera how?
Vertically. You always take a panorama vertically. Turn the camera like this.
You're not you're talking about a regular camera, not
a regular camera. Yeah,
regular.
Not the phone, although you can turn the phone around the other way too.
Which way? Sideways?
Yes, you can do it either way.
Yeah. Because what you end up with then, you don't want to end up with a ribbon.
Right. Yeah,
so holding it this way.
Yeah. Yeah, you can hold the phone either way, and but when you take a panorama with your camera, you hold it vertically.
Okay, got it.
And if you have a really wide angle lens, you can get all this stuff in the foreground, but also have an awesome sky or whatever in the background as well. So don't forget about that.
Okay.
Jim, I have a wide angle. One is 14 to 24. One is 24 to 70. Which one better?
Oh, if you've got the 14 to 24, that's going to give you more like the stuff I was just showing you. Not to say that the other one isn't appropriate, with certain subject matter, but there are some advantages, at low angle for using the ultra wide. The fact that you can get very close to your subject, yet still include background, but have the background diminished with respect to your subject. Those are advantages of a wide to ultra wide angle lens.
Oh, use the 14 by 24.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, at the 14 end, especially.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? I'm going to try to push us along here today because the weather is getting much worse out here.
I'm going to, now that you brought it up, I'm going to do, while we're talking, a quick search.
Anybody have any other questions?
For possibly some other examples, but I'm going to answer questions, and if you wanted, since my power seems to be holding, if anybody wants to be online, then maybe I can go on and do show some quick compositing of the flash shots if you want it. That's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead. If why not? You said you talked about it. We want to know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to. I'm actually looking through kind of a portfolio here and going to mark a couple other example shots other than what we've been just showing.
The guy said he is a pro at this. We did a car shoot inside a garage where we shot, I don't know what, 100 and some images with all the different, with the lighting on different parts of the garage and the car. And he put all those together. I mean, how many was that? 75 images you end up using, Jim, on that?
Oh, are you talking about the photo of the Corvette?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a 74 image composite.
You have to do that.
And that picture tonic, right? They have a big print of that framed in the automotive shop.
And
by the
who did
way,
you say took that? Who did the 74 composite?
me.
Jim.
Oh wow.
But Lynn and Jack, were there and helping with that.
I remember when you guys did that. Yeah, I remember that.
They were running around. I had them running around all over the shop, doing that. Oh, I think I just here we go. Let's see. Here's one.
Can you find the one on the track, Jim? The one with the padlock?
If I run across it, I'm going through a 1600 image, portfolio, scrolling through super fast to see a couple things that'll pop out at me as some other examples that I should have thought of before tonight, but there's been a lot going on.
Or just don't get out there when the trolley's out there.
Great.
No, the trolley was stopped at the trolley stop when I made that shot that I'm talking about. But yeah, wide angle, ultra wide, and even fisheye, because there's a couple that I have that I just thought that I've done with fisheye lens. That a fisheye lens can do some really cool things from a low angle. Oh, here we go. Something Lynn was actually mentioning earlier.
It's really starting to pour here.
Mm-hmm. Lynn Manuel lost power. That's why he left.
I figured we've lost several people, so
yeah.
I figured that's what's going on. I would just say,
Oh,
hey,
yeah, you're right, Leslie. It's raining.
Kathy hasn't been to a couple of, joined us back when we had Jackie on, and she hasn't made it to any meetings, but I'm glad she made it tonight. Hey, Kathy.
It's getting
Hey,
ugly.
how are you?
Good.
It's getting ugly out here.
Yeah.
Whoa, that wind.
Are you guys in Florida? Is that where
Oh,
you
yeah,
are?
we're in Tampa.
Be safe.
We're having a hurricane party.
Okay.
That's what I told my niece to do. She's up there in college in Tallahassee. I said,
Oh my
"You're in the-
goodness.
You're in that building. You're
Oh.
young. Have a hurricane party."
Aaron made it in finally. Did you run out of power?
Yeah, it's been on and off.
Well, we
Glad
recorded
you made it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
recorded it, so Jim's looking for a couple more images to share with us.
Everyone was
While
saying the weather's getting worse.
while Jim is looking for that
Yeah,
picture.
I'm getting there. I've got a couple. I'm coming up with a couple examples for you that aren't things in the woods.
I wasn't trying to rush you. I was just gonna say I was in Jamaica for a hurricane one time, and the people I was staying with, they took us to this hotel to stay to sit out the hurricane. But it was an old people hotel. It was just like for old people. And I'm probably 24, 25 or so when I went there. But the lady was real nice, and she kept the cook there, and they cooked for us, and we got to eat. And I asked her, I said, "Can we have a party?" And I said, "But I'll make sure we clean up and everything." And she says, "Yeah." But I said, "So do you have some albums? Do you have some music we can play?" And she had Jerry Vale and people like that, you know. And she had one Donna Summer album. And we drank rum and we played that one Donna Summer album. And we were dragging people off the street. We were getting people that were in the hotel room. Come on down to the party. Come on down to the party. We had us a hurricane party.
I like the way you call it the old people's hotel.
Well, now,
Yeah, I'm
now
like, wait a minute.
I said I was
24. Everybody was old.
Yeah, but now old people are 15 years older than I am right now.
Right.
I've had the power company come out to my house twice in this last 2 days, and the transformers, they have a fuse on them. I did not know this. And when the power goes out, this fuse trips and it hangs down. You can see it from the ground. I go, okay, now I know how it's broke. And they had this long pole standing on the ground. They take the old one off, they never get up on the pole. They do it all from the ground. And interesting stuff those guys do out there. I'm just lucky enough to have a bad transformer.
Man, they had them all lined up. They showed all the guys lined up, getting ready to go wherever they needed to go.
God bless those guys, man. They don't get paid enough for what they do.
They get paid a lot of money. Don't think they don't.
Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea. My brother is in St. Pete that teaches the class on how to fix all of this power stuff. He's at that college down there, and he has a class of 23 guys right now. He's teaching them how to be linemen, and he answers all those questions for me. And it's a chunk of change to take those classes. $7,500 just to take the class.
Well, when they work those, on those long hours and stuff, it racks up.
Wow.
But when
I'm
you
waiting.
air
I'm waiting. I see
conditioning,
my lights flickering right now.
when you don't have air conditioning for 4 or 5 days and it's 99 degrees outside, let me tell you, I want to go and hug every single one of those guys out there.
I hear everybody talk about that, but you didn't have air conditioning here when we were kids. You didn't have air conditioning.
Yeah, but you're used to it, though.
We're old now, and we have to have it.
Exactly. Exactly. I used to tolerate the heat a lot better in my 40s. In my 70s, not so much.
When we had Beryl go through here, they had problems with people getting upset because they couldn't get power, going out with their guns, trying to get the power people to go to where they wanted to go to get their house.
Oh my God. Is that in Texas?
That sounds like
Yes.
That's Texas. Yeah.
They finally said, we're all going to leave if you don't stop.
Oh, they had that on the news. That was on the news, Victoria. Yeah.
Yeah.
I called Apple support today and slightly unrelated, but it was so funny because at the end of the speech that they give, while you're waiting for the person to come on, just remember the advisors are here to help you. Please be nice to them. I'm thinking, why does that have to be said? That's just like a.
Because
Anyway.
people can be assholes.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim's got some great pictures on here to see. Woo!
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And apropos for the season.
Exactly.
Yep. Low angle looking up a hill at stuff. That's a classic
We can go on the highway.
right there. Yep. Yeah, the classic shot of finding a long road straight or with a curve at the end or something with the double yellow line, and getting the camera down on the double yellow line. I've got some stuff from out west in the desert that's cool like that just wasn't in this particular group of photos that I was in, and I just was tagging some purple to find them. And if you're seeing my film strip, there's a bunch of things tagged purple, but I'm only jumping to the low angle stuff. There's another idea, just a pebble, at the beach. This is one of my stock photos that sells well. My best-selling stock photo ever that sells and sells and sells and sells and sells and sells is a low angle shot. This is my all-time best-selling stock photo. This outsells every photo I have on stock 10 to 1.
Wow.
There. And by the way, this was shot with a 23 millimeter lens, by the way, on a crop sensor. This is 23 on a crop sensor at St. Pete Beach.
Wow. That's a beautiful show.
There's that cloud Lynn was talking about.
Yeah.
That's a 20 by 30 print that I have. But you notice, in order to give some perspective to that sky, look at the cameras down to the ground, including foreground from right in front of the camera. This was not done from standing up, eye level. The camera was stuck at the ground, looking up. That's what gives some magnitude and some power to that cloud, and what gives you some sense of scale. That cloud over the.
Is that Death Valley, Jim?
What's that?
Like it.
Is that Death Valley?
That is Death Valley. Yep. I love Death Valley. Death Valley is. Yeah. So is that. That's Death Valley. But again, the impact comes from getting low. Yeah. And and there's more Death Valley. Death Valley is a great place. If you guys can get to Death Valley before the assignment, there you go.
What about if you've been there? What about if you've been there and shot it?
This is Death Valley.
You better have some good knee pads because that stuff is rough.
Oh, that stuff tears you up.
Yeah, and gloves on your hands. It's rough. It's sharper than it looks.
Yeah, some of that stuff looks so fragile. You think, oh, I'm going to walk on it. It's just going to crumble and crush. No, it's going to stab you right through your shoes. There's, I'm looking. Oh yeah, here. Death Valley as well. Yeah. This stuff, like Leslie says, will tear you up. It looks fragile and spiky, and it is like concrete. But this is down low, backlight coming through through a piece of salt crystal out there. But this works because it's extremely low. This was a painful shot to get because I did lay down in this stuff to get it, and it was literally a bed of nails.
Remember, we took bath towels with us to lay on, but it still wasn't enough padding.
Yeah. Yep. This was one of the most painful photographs that that I ever took. Was that one right there in Death Valley? Here, just playing at home. This is this was a sequence that I did. the first shot was titled "Danger is Lurking," and then it was followed up by "No, not really."
Never mind. My friend.
But yeah, that's there's a lot of options for doing low angle stuff. There.
Oh, that's the balloon festival.
Yep. Oh, here. There's low angle. Look at how different this is from the typical shot you'd have of a log cabin, just walking up to the log cabin and shooting it, versus sticking the camera down in the weeds
Les?
to take the photo.
Les Caldera?
What'd you say, Lynn?
I think that's the Caldera, at the Caldera, isn't it, Jim?
Yes, that's in the Valles Caldera in New Mexico. Yep,
Jim,
that's where there was some show that they filmed there.
Yeah,
So,
a question.
Jim.
How much flash do you use on all these low angles?
How much flash do I use?
I mean, how often do you use your flash?
Like, depends on what I'm going out to shoot. If I know I'm going out for like mushrooms and things like that are going to be in the shade, and whatnot, then yeah, absolutely, I have it with me.
What about this one?
Oh no, this is all natural light.
All right.
Yeah, it was side light coming from the left side of the camera, so it was shining left side of the camera into these weeds and stuff. No, that is not with a flash. That was just natural light.
Before you leave that shot, can you go back to it, Jim?
What?
Can you go back to
last
that
one.
shot for a second?
That one?
Yeah. So my limited composition knowledge would have gone bananas and spent hours on end trying to take that tree out behind, because I would be afraid that I'd be dinged for it. But if you're putting it in there, it's okay.
That tree was there, and I was not going to bother with taking that tree out of there in this shot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, so it's okay. I'm always worried. I mean,
Now, if this were a person, no, I wouldn't let that tree grow out of the person. But trees do grow behind log cabins and stuff, and I have no problem if anybody were to show me this about the fact that there's a tree behind a log cabin.
Yeah. But that's helpful to know.
And
because, then
there's another one. Lynn knows where this was. Lynn was with me when we were both shooting this together. But yeah, again, down low, but also very careful framing and distance perspective. Foreground, middle ground, background, and very, very carefully. Once I got down, getting down on the ground, I wasn't gonna just randomly take a snapshot. It was very carefully composed once down on the ground. So, and it just happens to be because it just happened to be color-coded purple, Lynn. Not to do with low angle, but compositing. There's the 74 image composite.
Wow.
Because when you look at this shot, this was done at night in a dark automotive shop, and we actually kept the lights down, and then I was controlling the camera, set up the composition, did everything, but Lynn and Jack were walking around, and I was directing them where to put lights. So this wheel is individually lit. This wheel is individually lit. The hood of the car is individually lit. The side of the car is individually lit. The interior is lit. This engine block is lit. The wheels on this car are lit. The toolboxes and everything back here, I had Lynn walk with a strip light back here. Lynn walked across with a strip light and light painted the workbench back here. Jack went back here in this room and was behind a wall over here with an umbrella and fired a light into this room to light this room at the level I wanted, because the lights in the automotive shop were just random and all over the place and uneven. So we set up our own lighting, and so there's 74 different shots with lights all over the place that came together. Because even this engine block, this is three different. This is lit from three different positions. It's three. This is three different shots just for this engine block on a stand over here.
Wow.
So
Yeah. Took us hours.
yes, we what it take us like 3.5 hours just to get the exposures. It took about 3.5 hours to set up and get the shots, and then it took me another night of processing to come up with the
hit that
final
camera.
image. What?
And it said, God forbid we hit the camera, because the camera was on a tripod with weights on it, so it wouldn't.
It had cinder blocks around the legs.
Right.
Yeah. It had cinder blocks around the legs, and was roped off, and was being controlled by a tethered laptop 8 feet away from the camera, and so that nobody could get near the camera and bump it.
Wow. Nobody would know how much work that was to get that picture together.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, even specifically to the point of getting the words on the front tire, in the right position. We actually jacked up the car and got the wheel rotated so that the words were in the right position. Because when the car was in position, you couldn't just roll the car around to get the wheels where you wanted. So we had to jack it up and get the wheel rotated correctly.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is. I mean, it's amazing how you don't think about it when you see a shot like that. How much labor went into it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's the goal. Like you say, you just want to look at it and appreciate it. You're not doing a shot like this, for someone to look at it and say, "Oh, I see all the work you did." You want somebody to look at the shot and appreciate the shot for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
Lighting.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Again, low angle. Low angle is what makes it work.
What is that?
And again, we talked about using a remote app to fire the camera. Anybody that's been where there's fiddler crabs, you know how they run away from you and hide in their holes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I saw that fiddler crabs like this spot, and I set the camera up on a thing called a platypod, and the platypod was in the water. The base of the camera was literally about a half inch over the water. The camera was turned on, and then I walked away and hid behind some mangrove bushes with my phone app on, waiting and watching until the crabs eventually felt safe because no one was around and started to walk out again. And this guy eventually wanted to see, oh, what's that camera? And walked up to it, and I got his shot from behind a mangrove tree remotely with my phone app. Wow. Because I would have never been able to just walk up to this crab and stick a camera in his face and get a shot.
This is a platypod.
Where?
Flat thing. And you could screw your camera into it, or you could actually put a ball head on it as well. But this is the one of the bigger ones. They actually have smaller ones as well.
Yeah, I've got the smaller one. But yeah, because like I say, these guys are too shy to ever get a shot like this. So it took forethought and patience to get this shot. This is also a pretty good selling stock photo for me. So, I know. Oh, here you go. If you want to work a reflection, getting down low. Even like you see here, look at the reflections in the water. That just reminded me. Getting down low for reflections. This is something to think about. It's rainy season. We just had a hurricane. Go out and find puddles.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's one of Lee's specialties.
Wow.
Yep. What was that, Leslie?
That's one of Lee's specialties. He does that a lot.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Mm-hmm. Yep. Get down low to get reflections.
Yeah.
What an incredible shot.
Oh yeah, here's another one. In fact, we were discussing this particular photo a while back.
Oh, yes.
Getting down low to get this reflection.
You see a whole scene in that reflection that you don't even see in the top of the picture.
Yeah. I think the discussion we were having about it before, because Lynn was there, Brian was there, we were all there together, and everybody that was there knows it took me 45 minutes to get this shot.
Because you ran
The
down
only
there.
reason was because I had the shot set up, and this cloud in the reflection was off to the side over here, but was very, very slowly moving in the sky. And I simply waited 45 minutes for that cloud to be there to take the photo.
This is a puddle in a rock, guys.
It's a what?
It was probably maybe 10 inches across at the most.
Yeah, the puddle was this big around. It was about the size of a well, a little bit bigger, about the size of a big dinner plate. Is the size of this puddle, and this is also a focus stacked image. This is multiple images. The reflection itself is one shot focused on the reflection. Then there's another shot which was shot with an ND filter at a slow shutter speed for the waterfall back here. And then there's a third shot for the background, because shooting here couldn't get me what I wanted back here. In order to get this shot, it was 3 shots. One shot here, like I say, another shot where the waterfall is with an ND filter, and then a third shot for the background, because I didn't want the background to be too soft, because some of it was reflected in here. I didn't want it to be all bokeh and blurry back there. I wanted to have some, I didn't want full sharpness either, because that wouldn't look right. So it was deliberately set to kind of an in-between for that, if that makes sense.
And you used the shot like pod or the Gorilla Pod with that, Jim? Do you remember? I think it was the Gorilla Pod, right?
No, this one was on a beanbag.
Okay.
Yeah, this was sitting on a beanbag on the rock. Yeah, so I do use a Gorilla Pod a lot. I use a Platypod a lot. I use a Gorilla Pod a lot. I use a beanbag a lot for low angle stuff. They're all good. They're all good options.
This leads to what Lynn was saying about having a composite class as one of our education nights. Because you'd have to blend all these photos together.
Yeah, and just so you know, this is the frame, of the shot. The camera was seeing this. This isn't a composite where images are added to it. This is a focus stacked image, not a composite. Every image had this entire scene in it. Each of the 3 images, but only one image of the 3 was good for this part. Only one image of the 3 was good for that. Only one image of the 3 was good for the background part, if that makes sense. It wasn't, it's not multiple images stitched together.
Right. So when you do that, Jim, you're going to have to be masking off, correct?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, because the same shot was just refocused here and done at a different shutter speed, and then refocused back here and at a different shutter speed. So it's the same scene, but a different shutter speed for here, and a different shutter speed for here with an ND filter, and and also focused, refocused here and refocused back there.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
that's beautiful.
You want to show them how to do a quick composite?
Yeah, I'll do something here. Yep, I'm going to unshare my screen for a minute while I'll do the one of the cat eating the gnomes, since I got those files handy.
It's really windy out here.
I was going to ask how the weather was doing now.
Yeah.
Anybody else having problems with the water?
I've got oak trees that are rocking.
No, I just saw on the radar or on the channel 9 that it's a Cat 4 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a cat 4 since like 6. I was watching TV.
Yeah, it's coming right through my area right now.
Where are you?
I'm in Hudson.
Oh. Yeah, they keep saying there's like tornado warnings up in State
There's
Road.
tornado warnings everywhere.
State Road 54.
Pretty much. A lot of rain, a lot of rain.
They've been talking tornado warnings since early this morning, so it'll go on until tomorrow. Those feeder bands.
Well, guys, I'm gonna have to bail. I gotta go check some stuff outside. Very good, Jim. I appreciate it.
Be careful.
Be safe.
Before you leave,
Yeah.
Jim, before you sign off,
Oh, I'm not signing off. I'm looking for some stuff to show a quick composite that Lynn
and
asked.
Hagen, I had some I was going to share with him, but that's okay. Oh, but
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead while I'm digging up files.
For you, I was surprised no one remembered when we went out as a camera club and did a car with multiple flash walking around the car. But then I just realized there are only 3 of us left from
We did.
Or in the studio.
Chris, did we do that we did that in the parking lot over behind the restaurant?
Correct.
Yeah, by Roberts. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, we did it was a class that we did when we were still meeting at Robert's studio, and there was a part where there's a restaurant right next door, and there we went out in the parking lot and did a shoot on a car.
Yeah.
Look like we were putting on a movie.
Yeah, we got a lot of attention for that one.
Boy, Tallahassee looks like it's going to get nailed.
That's what they're saying.
It's going right up in Tallahassee as a category 4. It's already a 4.
Yeah.
It'll be a direct hit.
Yep.
I thought they expected it to hook right before it
Yeah,
landed,
I heard the same thing, Karen. They said they were going to hook to more east.
which is where my sister is.
Oh crap!
Yeah.
Last time I saw the news part got on, they were talking about going straight.
for Richard Edwards part of Georgia. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming here.
And they was talking also about flooding up in Asheville. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
well, they got flooded 2 weeks ago with the other one.
Yeah.
It never. I think that was the one that came through when we were in Charleston, and it was above us. And there was a ton of flooding in North Carolina.
Yeah. I think that was Francine.
Yeah, Francine. We were trying to ignore it while we were in Charleston. It was hard, but we tried.
We just walked through it.
Yeah, we shot like there was no hurricane.
Lynn, I was surprised because my lens kept getting wet, but it didn't really show up in the images so much.
I had a few like water, but on the ones that we did.
I had some, but I thought it would be much more. The one where when we were doing the lighthouse.
Yeah.
That
was blowing right on the cameras.
Yeah, but
maybe it was just so many that it didn't matter anymore. It just made it look foggier.
Yeah, I thought that would be much worse, but
well, remember,
I was surprised.
Focusing far away, it's going to focus right through them anyway. So
right.
Hey, I remember when Piper still used to build aircraft in Lakeland, and they got tired of the hurricanes, so they moved to Pennsylvania. And the next big hurricane that came through after they were up here went straight for Pennsylvania and wiped out the factory.
Oh man!
Oh, that's sad.
Well, they rebuilt it, but they're happily in Pennsylvania now, or whoever bought them out is.
These days, you're not safe anywhere. There's something that can go get you.
Yeah, well, it'll find you.
Something.
When I was stationed in Japan, there's an island out there in the Pacific called Inuita. It's just a teeny tiny island. If you look it up on the map, the name is much longer than the area that it covers. But they took the planes from our base to go pick up. They were going to move everybody off the island and take them to Guam, and the storm turned and hit Guam. It didn't even hit Inuita. Oh. But Guam's a bigger island, and they've got those mountains to break it up. But yeah, we moved every single person off of Inuita. Oh, Jim's ready.
There we go. We got three layers.
Yeah, I just grabbed 3 shots from that I could find real quick from there. So you can see the difference in the lighting. There's overhead, and there's a side light to the left, and there's a side light to the right. Notice how side light to the right, you got the shadow down here. Side light to the left, you saw some of that shadow, but you notice the overhead one, did a lot of killing of that shadow there. And so, yeah, between the three, it's just kind of masking in what you want from the three. So starting from this one, the top light, I'll just want to bring in some of the side lighting. So I'm just turning on a mask. Going to get a brush tool in black, and let me start bringing in. See the difference?
Yeah.
Just what happened with that guy when I did that. Notice the dimensionality that you get with him now.
But you're doing it on normal blend.
Sure, this is just a mask.
No, I know
This
that.
is not blending. This is masking.
Oh, got it. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, no blending. This is just masking.
Right.
Yeah, see the difference?
So what caused that?
What caused what?
That
He's got
What
3 different
caused it?
lighting going on here. He's using the lighting from the side is doing that.
Well,
Hang on.
sorry,
I'm just painting
I know
on a
what you're
mask.
doing.
See,
I see that, but
I'm just revealing the layer beneath it.
okay.
The layer beneath it, Diana, has lighting from the side.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
See, there's the layer beneath that.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
I'm doing
got
is
it.
revealing the layer
Got
beneath
it. Got it. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm watching the wind outside. Yeah. Okay. Now it makes sense.
Yeah. So, and like,
You-
see over here, this shadow over here. Well, I'm gonna, I'll take that shadow out now on this side. I'll give him some lighting on his face over here.
Got it.
From what's underneath. I'll fill in a little bit over here, and then well, like, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna knock that down.
So,
Put another
Jim,
mask on now, and now I'll get some of the light over here on this side.
And this was the one that was lit from the right.
Yep. See, that's this lit from the right. So I'm just bringing in. So that's where I'll get here on this gnome. I'll get some of that. See that little rim lighting there? Oh, isn't that nice? Isn't that professional looking? It looks like I know what I'm doing, huh?
It looks like a halo to me.
Yeah.
oh my God, Brian,
That's
I had
that's-
you so in my head the other day. I was working on something and there was a freaking halo, and all I kept thinking of is your voice in my head.
That's not a halo. That's a
No, yeah.
that's a
lighting.
that's a kicker. That's separation light. That's rim lighting. Yeah.
Jim,
So you see how simple that was?
What happened to the top layer?
I flattened it. Here, look. I'm gonna go.
Okay,
I'll go
got
back.
it. Okay, got it.
Okay. Let me go back and.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep, there it is.
Okay.
So there's the top layer, which revealed that underneath.
Right.
There's the mask. So that's all I did. Was that those brush strokes right there? Simple as that. Then I merged that down. Make a new mask on that layer.
Right.
Put the little rim lighting on her there. Let's put a little light, on this side of the guy over here. Let's see, we could bring some light in there. Soften that little shadow there. And you can work it around. And then in this case, all I did was that. That's all it is. Oops.
And then you're going to flatten it again.
Let me see. Yeah. And then and then I would do that, and then I would say, "Oh, lens flare spots. We'll fix that." And just do some of that. lens flare that I don't want, there. I'll tell you what, when you get really low and you're down in the grass, any kind of stray grass blade that gets anywhere near your lens is going to show up. You got to pluck all the long grass blades out of the way. That's what I did here.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
so then just like I say, then just a matter of fixing it up. But even like, look over here. You see this? Little tiny things become really magnified when they get close to a
yeah.
close to an ultra wide angle lens. And very easily become distractions.
Which we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Guys,
Yeah.
any more questions?
There you go. You see how simple that was?
Yeah, it's.
And you saw in my demonstration, all I did was I was just moving that flash around. Top, left, right, high right, low left, low right, low front. I just moved the flash, I think I put that flash in about 7 or 8 different positions. And then I went back and looked and said, yeah, okay, all I need is 3, top, left, and right. And you saw how quickly I painted that. That was, this image was just, knocked out in a matter of minutes. And you saw how simple it was using a TTL flash to just move that flash all around and just get a bunch of different shots to work with. And you see how much visual impact and pop this has versus the other methods.
I don't understand why you're so quick to flatten the layers, though, because to me, you eliminate your option to go back later and say, whoops, I could do this better.
I'll tell you why I'm so quick to do that, Brian. It's because I've been working in Photoshop since 1994, and I know when I'm done with something and can flatten it.
Okay.
We just don't have that option, Brian. But
yeah,
I'm sure he knows.
So, yeah, what's that? Okay, so that's 30 years this year I've been working in Photoshop. So that's that's just me saying, yep, done, move on. I'm not recommending that that you do that when you see me do that.
Okay.
And this
That was what I wanted to find out.
All right.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a valid question, Brian, and not that I mean it to sound like a smart ass answer, but it's the true
it was
answer.
a very informative answer. It was you don't have to do that, Brian, answer, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just that's just me. I work that way. I'm okay, done with this, move on, next step, done with this, move on, next step, done.
Thousands of hours of work.
In reality, me doing this, would have been 4 times faster at least than what you saw.
With me, generally, I will export it. I will take it back into Lightroom, put it at full screen, look at it and say, oh crap, I should have done that, and put it back into Photoshop to do more stuff on it. That's what I normally do.
Yeah, and like I say, it's a matter of experience. I didn't work like this in 1994.
Awesome,
We
guys.
didn't have layers in 1994.
Yeah.
All right.
It did. I remember. I remember. What an eye opener it was. After I'd been playing with Photoshop for for about a month or two, and then realized the power of layers. That that was a revelation to me. Layers and masks. When I discovered that, I was off to the races.
So could you, for example, do like this cat is just sitting still, so could you do a long exposure of the cat and use a flashlight and paint it?
Except
for 20
except
seconds?
in the sun, not
Yeah.
so much. But at night, no, that's absolutely, light painting is really cool. In darker and dimmer, because you're not really going to do that in the daytime. Technically, if you want to think about it, that sort of was light painting what you just saw.
Right.
It was,
Only you
the
use the
light was
flash.
moved in multiple positions, but it wasn't, it's not a single exposure, light painting. Really, what I was doing was just taking
giving it depth.
taking a quick shortcut to having a multi-light setup, because you're not going to go out there in the afternoon sun like that and try and set up 3 speed lights. Yeah.
It might be kind of fun to have a light painting assignment at some point.
Hello? What?
Oh, I said it might be kind of fun to have a light painting assignment at some point.
Yeah, we're working
God
on,
knows.
if not an assignment, we're going to probably have a class on that next year.
Cool.
Yeah, light painting is a cool thing.
And you
That
can do
ended
it-
up being
do
one
it
of the
on-
subjects.
You can do it on small things, and I have done it on buildings and on
Mhm.
trees, and so anything that you can get we've used the Maximilian light, which is huge, and in light painted barns. So yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
really crazy what you can do with light painting.
Yep, I've used a Q beam to on a car battery to do light painting, and everything from pen lights to LED lights to like I say, Q beam on a car battery to do light painting.
We're gonna see if we can get Dave Black. He is like the godfather of light painting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Any
Well,
questions?
I'm open to any questions on anything. While I'm here, I still have electricity, and I've got nothing to do.
I just want to make sure I can get this recording done, and I'm recording it on my computer. So
Mm-hmm.
if nobody has any questions, then I'll go ahead and end the recording. Anybody have any
Yeah,
questions?
and I'm gonna go. I need to finish fixing my dinner.
Okay. Go ahead and end the recording. We can keep talking.